We are going live. We are live. Over to you, Tanvi.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tanvi S. Welcome to the webinar 8 of the Changemakers Winter Camp. During our earlier session today, we learned how to listen and communicate effectively. In the second session of the day, we will use those skills to dive deeper into the world of greater mobility for everyone, including people with disabilities. To understand this very important subject, my co-anchor, Ms. Silotama Srinivasa, will be talking to our domain expert, Ms. Naina Padaki. Silotama ma'am is a mechanical engineer from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. She is an entrepreneur and runs an engineering consultancy and service group. She is also a mentor of change from Karnataka, associated with Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, Government of India. I also take great pleasure in introducing Ms. Naina Padaki to all of you. Naina ma'am has a bachelor degree in computer science from the SDM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad. She has 15 years of corporate experience in various technical lead roles. She is the founder, director, and CEO of True Assistive Technology. True Assistive Technology develops assistive tech products of international standards that enable disability inclusion. Miss Naina Padaki is passionate about supporting every individual and helping them live an independent life. She wants to bring in a change to the way mobility is perceived and available for our senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and those with reduced mobility. What she does is incredibly interesting, and we are very excited to be talking to her today. Before we start, a few points. If you have any questions during the session, please type them in the Zoom or YouTube chat window. We will take up your questions at the end of the discussion. We also request the participants to mark their attendance in the Google form that will be shared in the Zoom and YouTube chat window shortly. The form will open only for the duration of the session. Those who attend the session will receive a participation certificate at the end of the winter camp. I now hand over the session to Tilotamama.
Thank you, Tanvi. And thank you so much for joining us today, Nana. I think I will start with the question straight away. But before we start, just a reminder to everybody, I hope you folks have your book and pen handy to take down notes, because this is going to help you. This session is going to help you if you want to participate in the mobility part of the ATL marathon, if you want to design for that. Okay, so let me start. Nana, when we talk about mobility, people often assume that we are talking about something to do with electric vehicles. But that is only a small part of mobility, right? So could you give us an overview of what the mobility sector encompasses, please?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Tilotama, for having me here. And I'm so glad to address to all these children who are, so excited and so entrepreneurial already. So, having said that, when we talk about mobility in current days, it's like you said rightly, it's only about electric vehicle uh, to and batteries and all these things. But there are a lot of things beyond that. New things like making the vehicle autonomous, making them accessible, so people with reduced mobility, senior citizens, and people with disability can get in it, get inside it easily. And another aspect is shared mobility. For example, our Uber, Olas, and Meru are all part of mobility. And another important aspect is what about the old mobility solutions that are already available and the newer ones, and how can they be connected now that everything is electric? how can they all be connected, and how we can pursue them as a whole. So all these aspects come into mobility. And the aspect we are going to be discussing is about accessible mobility today. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so so basically about inclusive, so which is accessible to everyone.
Ac-
Okay. So before this, we shared that video. The clip with Shah Rukh Khan talking about the same thing. So we saw that video where the seat swivels that you have designed. Now, could you walk us through how you went about designing something like this, please? And how did you get this idea? What steps did you follow to make it a reality? And most importantly, how long did it take?
Yeah, so there's a small story that I like to share here. And first, if I have to ask this question to everybody here, how many of you have seen your grandparents or somebody elderly at home struggle to get inside a car? So when I ask this question to people, there will be at least one story a person has to share. So having said that, this becomes such an important aspect of mobility. To talk about the journey, we are basically an R&D organization. We developed a lot of R&D solutions. So back in 2013, we did a project for Toyota where we developed a swivel seat for their Corolla Altis. And this was very specific to Corolla Altis, fit only for that. And it was launched in the auto show, but for some reason it didn't take off. So none of us know about it. So it didn't take off because of the price point. There were many challenges. So then what we went on to do is we saw the product, and there was an article written about us in your story. And there a lot of people started calling us, and we gave our solutions to first few people. Our first person who actually used our solution, she went on to finish her education. She got her PhD using going to college with this solution. So that went on for us. Like we kept thinking, yeah, this is making an impact. Now what next? So we started thinking about our journey. We actually stayed in the US for a couple of years, and when we were working there, we saw people in Western countries who are neck down paralyzed, but they still managed to come to office. They still managed to go on vehicle, and all they needed help was maybe to fill a bottle of water and some things like that. But they were able to lead a very close to normal life. And when we thought of a country like ours, we were wondering why not have a solution like this in India? There are so many people, and there is so much of need. And then we went on to make this solution more generic. We went on to do further R&D on this so that it can fit in so many other car models, and made a more generic solution. And it took us about close to 2 to 3 years to come up with this. It was a long journey. There was also funding needed. Back in those days, there were no startup concept yet. So we had to fund our own consulting money into this, and then we developed this solution. And we didn't want it to be like any other solution coming out of a garage. We wanted it to be a more scalable and an automotive standard solution, a solution that is in par with the international standards. So we did a lot of thorough testing. We tested the solution for seatbelt anchorages. We tested the solution for crash and open close. Many tests were run on this solution so that when we take this to any car manufacturer, they're confident, yeah, the solution works. And we also had to keep in mind the scalability. Considering we are in Bangalore, we are in down south, if we start manufacturing this solution, can we supply this across India? Can everybody adopt this solution? So that was another aspect which we had to consider when developing the solution. And we did a lot of R&D, and then in 2018 we launched this solution. It was not like launch, but softly articles were written and people started calling us. And now uh, we developed in 2021 is when Anand Mahindra tweeted about us. He told there was a tweet where people were talking about the Paralympics and how Japan was so accessible. And then we happened to tweet at the right time, and then there was a lot of notice. And we also participated in a lot of challenges with OEMs, mobility cohort. For example, there was a mobility innovation challenge in IIM Bangalore, and we participated in that, and we won that cohort. It is a mobility cohort, and for the first time, even it was by Maruti, and Maruti R&D, including their CTO, was very excited seeing a solution like this, and he was like, "This is very much needed for our country." And we won the challenge. Now we are doing further R&D for mostly Maruti vehicle,
So,
and we are, yeah, go ahead.
so from what I get, so 2013 to the first thing that you put into a car in 2018, was that right?
Yeah, well, that was right.
And
Though
then 2021 to for the people to really start noticing in a big way, and more companies. So that's a typical kind of and that's very normal, right, for any kind of product development. 8 years is actually a very in fact it's quite fast by product, especially in mechanical or core engineering fields.
very
So
true. That's very true. You totally get it together. Yes.
so I have a quick question. I don't know how many people here understand what the swivel seat means. Do you have
So,
something where you can just show us, please?
yeah, I'll just quickly share my screen. You will see this quick video. Just a minute. Yeah. Can we see the screen?
Simplicity of
Yeah,
the
we can.
product is ease of use. There is a lever here which you have to release and give a slight push so that it turns out and gets locked. You can use the sliding of the seat to move the seat forward, and as you can see, the seat is almost 50% out. Slide back and slide in easily. You are back in the car. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So this is the swivel seat. This is the a small clip of this you would have seen in the video that I shared, that we have shared, which the Hyundai was the shot for the Hyundai Samarth series. One thing I would like to, emphasize here, what was there with the solution was the simplicity. When we are innovating, and there's a innovation that one person is thinking of, it is very important that we think of how we can make the solution more simple. When it comes to engineering, when we are engineers, we know that any solution is possible, but how can it be made simple and scalable is something that we have to think when we are innovating anything. And that is exactly what we did here. We had to also keep in mind the price point. It has to be a cost effective solution so that many people can use it. And all these aspects considering, and we had to do a manual one. Most people don't like a lot of maintenance. So the first solution had to be a manual, a scalable, a cost effective. So all this went into the solution, and that is what it is. And now we are developing. Well, now we are innovating the new solutions where it is going to be electric, where there are seats going to convert into a wheelchair itself, where the seat will rotate and come down in height for a taller vehicle. All these new variants we are developing. It's in the process.
Okay, so I have another question, because we were talking about inclusivity in the mobility sector, and then we're talking about people who are elderly and therefore maybe have difficulties bending down, sitting down, and then people with, of course, with disabilities who are differently abled and who need help. But what about people who are just unusually tall or unusually short or unusually wide? Is it worth trying to make public, private transport more accessible to people who are, like on two ends of the bell curve, not necessarily the average?
Exactly. I think that is where we have to think as innovators. Uh, this is exactly what I want to emphasize is universal design concept here. When you are having universal design in mind, you're not designing just for one sector of the society. You're taking into consideration all the people in the society. Maybe it's senior citizen or people who are tall, maybe people who are wide. So one example I would like to give is the buses. Back like 10 to 15 years back, we had buses with just two doors, one in the front and one in the back, and they were just so lean doors. Imagine getting into a door like this. So now we have buses where there's a door in the center of the bus, which is wide enough. So people, all kinds of people, now we are seeing people with wheelchair also getting in. So that is universal design, where you're considering all the sectors of the society to use this because it's meant for public transport. And in the same way, the seats are designed in such a way that you don't have the armrest, so that people who are white can sit on it. And the buses are designed in such a way that one side there are no seats, so that a person with wheelchair gets inside, and then your wheelchair can be stationed there. So all these are things that need to. It is we don't have to specially design for this other side of the bell curve, but we have to adapt in innovation the inclusive, the universal design concept. So that solution can be used by all.
Okay, so your company also designs equipment to help people with severe disabilities. I mean, so we were talking about public transportation and so on, but this you also design things for people to help people be more mobile indoors.
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
So when we developed this swivel seat, we started talking to a lot of these people, people with disability, even senior citizens who are having knee replacements, hip replacements started calling us. And when we started talking to all these people, we suddenly realized there's the need for a whole lot of solutions. Um, because if you consider the locomotor disability alone, there's no one solution fit all. So there are a lot of solutions that are needed even at home. So we came up with this solution, which is a portable shifting and transferring solution. So which can help them transfer from the bed to the wheelchair and from the wheelchair to the toilet. And bathing is would be convenient with this. And alongside, we also started working on various R&D projects. Where one of the very interesting R&D project which we started working on is programming a robotic arm, which can be attached to a wheelchair and which can do operations like we can place an object, opening the door, and maybe picking up certain things and helping to drink. So these are other things that we are working on. A lot of not just these, there are many other innovative solutions. Not just our company, many other companies are developing the exoskeleton development that is happening in the country, which is helping people just stand erect and just take a few steps. Even a few steps matters in such severe disabilities. Yeah.
Yeah, and that what you're saying about having something that can open a door, that is, I think, important even for people who are not necessarily paralyzed from the neck down, but who are just in a
Very true.
wheelchair because your CG kind of goes off balance if you lean forward to open the door. So
Very true. That's so true. That you rightly said it. And when we talk about all these people on wheelchair, we take so many things for granted.
mhm.
For example, opening the door. We fail to think that there is so much of space needed for the wheelchair to be stationed so that they can reach the door and open the door. So there are many things that we have to consider when we design these solutions, and we have to think more creatively, more innovative way in to do in small spaces. Uh, for example, elevator. How to if a wheelchair has to get into a elevator, then are the buttons accessible? Can they use voice commands to operate which floor they want to go? Can they use voice commands to open the elevator? So, can the wheelchair itself transform into a vehicle by attaching some attachments. Yes, there is a startup which is doing that for India today, where a wheelchair itself transforms into a three-wheeler. So many such things will come, and we'll innovate on this journey when we talk to people, who are having difficulty. So that is exactly what is happening to us. We are developing all complementing solutions for this. For example, we are doing the ramps, which is another very important solution. It sounds very simple. What is there in a ramp? But just imagine if you're going, you are maybe at your home, you have done all the facilities, you have the ramp. But what if you have to go to a restaurant? And you invariably have at least a step in almost all restaurants. And so if you had just a portable ramp that can open up, and you can go into this restaurant, so suddenly you will start seeing opportunities. You feel like you're going out more often, you're meeting more people, you're getting new ideas. So you become part of the mainstream. You don't feel left out. So such
Absolutely.
solution. Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
fact, ramps would even be important for, say, somebody like a man with a baby stroller. I mean, if he wants to push the stroller, otherwise he has to kind of let go of the baby and then open the door and juggle. So even that would be important. Yeah.
So true. So true. Yeah.
Okay, so next question, which kind of leads off from this, could you list 3 areas in transportation or related infrastructure? I know you already partially answered this, where a lot of work needs to be done to make them more inclusive, like 3 areas in transportation related infrastructure.
Transportation related infrastructure, I would say mainly are buses, because that is the public transport that will serve a lot of people. So if you see, of course, that widening of the door in the center is a good sign. But then having a ramp there, that is another important thing. And another important thing is our bus stops. So if we have to have the bus floor and the place where the bus stops, they have to be on one level. So if the bus stop is a little raised, so the bus comes and stops beside the raised platform, and then the ramp is just open. So a person with wheelchair can go inside, or even a senior citizen. You find so many old people who can't climb up the bus steps. I know my grandmother who tried to climb up the bus, and then the bus took off, and she happened to slip back on from the bus. Though she didn't harm herself much, but that did happen.
Yes.
So those are all the things that can be avoided with small changes like this. So our bus, we have to make it. There is a lot of work to do in areas of bus. Trains, how many of us have seen it, find it so difficult? The normal people find it difficult to climb up the stairs. There's so much to do for our trains. It is still an open challenge. If anybody wants to innovate, can innovate for this sector. We hardly, so many people with wheelchair want to travel by train because it's convenient. They can sleep and go long distance. It's more convenient than flight at times. But still, they don't take it only because getting inside a train, and that is a challenge. So innovation for trains, there is another sector, that, and the taxis. If you consider the taxis today, there's Uber, Ola, Meru, all catering to the normal people. So we don't see a percentage of these taxis being accessible. We don't hear that we can book an accessible taxi with any of these operators. So developing a solution, not just from the mechanical solution perspective, but also from the software side, developing apps which can, book such a vehicle. So these are the 3 sectors I feel in terms of transportation, which have a lot of things to do, which will give a lot of opportunities to a lot of people.
Thanks. So similarly, could you list 3 areas indoors, which are like homes, offices, public buildings, where more products and processes are needed to make them more accessible for everyone? I know you mentioned lifts, but
Yeah. So like I mentioned, one very important aspect is the stairs. Almost all buildings, everywhere you have like 4 or 5 stairs. And if you have to do a permanent ramp, the ramp, the standards, the world standards for building a ramp is 1:15, and we try to do at least 1:10. One for every 1 feet, you have a 10 feet ramp. So there are so many buildings where you can't build such a huge ramp. So what do you do in such cases? So you need some stair lifts. Of course, there are stair lifts, imported variants are available. They're pretty expensive. Not everybody can afford. They're not as sturdy because we have so heavily populated country that you might end up having people playing with it half the time. So it has to be a robust and a strong solution. So that stair lifts are very important. Our temples, for example, so many of our temples have stairs, and so many people I see with wheelchairs standing outside the temple worshipping and then going home from there. So these stair lifts are very crucial. Stair lifts are one areas. Ramps, I already spoke about the ramps. Small ramps. Almost all Indian homes you see they have thresholds, and a small portable threshold ramp will make it so easy for people to come in and out of the house. So the threshold ramps and other solutions are like small solutions. They might sound very trivial. What is there? Grip handle, accessible toilets. Commodes are another important area. We take it so implicit that commode is at 18-inch height, but sometimes it might not be so convenient. The height adjustable commode or height adjustable wash basin. Imagine a wash basin which is height adjustable. A person with wheelchair can use it. A small child can use it. Again, universal design comes into play here. So even a tall person, standing person can use it, sitting person, and a child. So all aspects can be done here. So these are the certain aspects of home that needs a lot of that needs solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, if you think about it, most of these are not actually something where you would need to spend a lot of money. They are
Yes.
actually fairly simple in terms of materials and sensors required, but it's just that somebody has to think the whole thing through carefully.
Yes. Very true.
Right. Okay, so since you're talking about thinking, you are a person who has spent a lot of her time thinking about mobility issues and how to help folks who struggle with them. So, what is your opinion about where we are headed? What is good, what is worrisome?
So what is good is this sector now has picked up in terms of people knowing about it. People are thinking. People are. I wouldn't say that we are thinking like how it is in the West, but at least now you can see this campaign from Samarth has come. Shah Rukh Khan is campaigning for this solutions like this. Not just our solution, but there are a bunch of solutions that Hyundai will be offering. So, so when mainstream will come out and talk about these things, so that is a good thing in a way. Um, so another good thing is a lot of young innovators are developing for this solution. They are developing very innovative solutions. Um, some of them are like solutions for learning braille and solutions for which can convert your text into your speech. So all such solutions are being developed. So good thing is we are getting innovators, young people trying to do in this solution, and they are realizing the benefit of working in this solution in this sector. So that is a good thing. So what is worrisome is the mindset of people. Still, we are as a country think that being disabled or having some issues is like a taboo. They don't want to expose themselves out there. They want to have such people at home all the time. They're like, you're better off staying at home. So this thought process needs to change, where we think of such people going out more often, being part of the mainstream society, being able to contribute to the society. So it'll definitely add to the GDP of the country. Imagine we have about the senior citizens living in the cities and the people with disability, with locomotor disability. We have around close to 5 million people who are in this sector, who are falling in this sector, who need assistive solutions, who want to who can come out, who can contribute. But are their families are they thought process wise they're thinking in the same lines? Do they want to come out? Do they want to be part of the whole society? So the thought process wise needs to change, that education needs to happen. And cost is another important aspect. Having all these solutions, many of these solutions might exist imported variants, but nobody can afford it. Not everybody can afford, I would say. So having cost effective solutions and developing and coming up with innovative solutions like this is also a very important aspect. And um, that is also kind of a concern, and kind of already people are working in that area, but these are the things that I can think of.
So, but overall, what you're saying is, things are moving in the right direction. It's just
Yes.
that there is inertia when it comes to, or maybe just fear when it comes to adapting.
It's a matter of time, I would say. It's a matter of time, and we will see. Now, if you see the medals that we got in the Paralympics,
Oh, yes.
so that's a huge accomplishment, and that that has everybody watching what these people are doing. And if such things are happening in our country, definitely it's a sector to look forward to, I would say. There's a lot to do, and there's a lot of the innovation that can happen, and there's definitely a market for it.
Yes, and like you said, so there are people with disabilities, but there's also a very, as all of us tend to live longer now, the average age has gone up. So there are a lot of people who are elderly who just need a little bit of help. They don't really need, like a wheelchair, but maybe they need something to support them while they're walking or getting into a bus. So, yeah. Okay, so what is your advice for people who want to design products in this space? What should they keep in mind?
So from the last few years that we have been developing, um, one thing is definitely sure, the quality. Again, I will emphasize on universal design. When you're developing, when you're innovating something, consider all aspects, consider all the audiences. Maybe they're not direct, indirect audiences as well. Like I said, one solution doesn't fit all, but it can help even other people who are normal people as well. So that universal design, and that is one thing that we need to consider. The second important thing is being cost effective. We have to develop a cost effective solution. And another important solution is the aspect is scalability. We need to develop scalable solutions. Our population is huge. We have a huge market. We have a lot of people who need this. Can we develop a scalable? We have to develop a scalable solution that can be given to a lot of people. And quality. Quality is another. Uh, Sorry about the term. Quality is another aspect that needs to be considered.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the quality part? What do you?
Yeah, sorry about the sound. Quality is another aspect where we'll have to design and develop quality. When we say it's made in India, and when we have imported solutions, our solution should stand out in quality. It should be tested. Now, for example, our solution, we tested as per the automotive standards. We could have just released a solution, people will start adapting, using. But we made sure we tested as per the standards. We made sure we're taking all the steps to develop solutions that can be even exported. Today, we are exporting our solution to Malaysia. We are sending a solution to the Saudi countries. But if that would not have been possible, because if we had not thought all these quality aspects in mind, and an OEM, for example, now we are going to the OEMs. OEMs would not have trusted us if we had not showed them these are the all certificates I have, and I've tested as per ARAI standards even before you could ask me. Then they are more confident. They know that we are doing something which is important, which is of good quality. So that's why I emphasize on quality. And yeah, these are the things that I can think of when you're innovating for this sector.
I think basically, from what you're saying, I think one of the things that happens is that we tend to not take safety as seriously in our country. And I think our yesterday's talk also, we were talking to somebody in disaster management and similar problems. So when you're saying quality and you're saying you're testing it to various standards, I mean, the standards are after all there because the idea is that, you have to match these, the safety and the various other aspects, the science, the physics, etc. So it's important that whatever we're designing actually meets those standards.
True.
Awesome. So, yeah, so what is a good place to find resources when designing for this space? Like websites, books, videos, people for advice. Where should we go?
So I'll just share this quick slide. Maybe you can take a look at that. So yeah, so IIT Delhi, there's a lot of research happening. There's a Assistec organization itself within IIT Delhi. So IIT Delhi is a good place to their website. You can see this website where you can see what all is happening in IIT Delhi for Assistec. And IIT Madras is also having many solutions, many entrepreneurs who are incubated there who are developing for this sector. Riha Care is another very interesting website, and it's a organization which has these exhibitions across the world for assistive tech. So you have like hundreds of companies who are there and who are just doing solutions for this sector. I would say each one of us should visit this website, see if something motivates you, encourages you to develop from this website. So we should take that up as a assignment and develop those solutions. A very, very interesting solution. You won't believe there are solutions not just for humans, there are also solutions for the pets that are there on Reha Care. So it's a very good website to explore the various solutions that are happening. And I would also encourage people who are already thinking of a solution for this sector, have some things in mind. There are a lot of acceleration programs that are happening in this sector. So we should apply for one of them. ATF Labs has an acceleration program. People can apply there, and there are a lot of mentors at ATF. So we can send an email to them, drop an email, and talk to ATF Foundation. It's Assistec Foundation. You can see this website. And of course, I will give my credentials if there's anything or anybody has a doubt you want to reach out to some person in this sector. Me being in this sector for so long, I know it's a small world in this sector. I know a lot of people. I can connect you to the right people. I can help you in whatever way possible.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. So, okay, so I think I have come to the end of my questions. So Tanvi, would you like to take over?
Yes, ma'am. Mom, actually, someone they had a doubt that they wanted to know more about the role of robotic arm in the wheelchair.
Okay. So yeah, I was thinking that somebody will have this curiosity because robotics is something that most people want to do today. Yeah. So there are robotic arms that are available. A lot of companies, I wouldn't say a lot of, a handful of companies do manufacture this robotic arm. So these robotic arms have to be programmed. ROS programming has to happen on them, where you write for operations like to pick and place an object. It might sound very trivial, the picking and placing might, but there are a lot of factors that need to be considered here. So, so this robotic arm can be attached to the wheelchair, and then this robotic arm, based on there's an LCD display. Based on what happens on the LCD display, you can instruct the robotic arm. So there are cameras that are there on the wheelchair. So looking at the camera will look at the object, and it will send the signals to the display, where on the display it will show which object you maybe a Coke can is there in a Pepsi can and you want to pick the Coke can. So when you say pick Coke can, the robotic arm should go and pick the Coke can. So these are the things that are the development is happening for people with below neck paralysis, and a couple of others, as Tilotoma pointed out during our discussion.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, they were asking that which type of sensor was used in the robotic arm.
There are no sensors as such. Like I wouldn't say the arm itself is a it's basically a visual. It captures the visual image, and then it will detect. You detect, and then you program that whole robotic arm. So that is what we have done. The robotic arm itself knows, depending on it calculates the distance from the object, and we have not developed the robotic arm to give you this right answer to you, but we used a pre-existing robotic arm and programmed it for these functions. So definitely we'll have to dig deep into what kind of sensors are there and all that. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, another question. Which is the best place for automobile and what should be the future innovations like which should take place in automobile industry so that the design or model of a car gets improved?
So almost all the OEMs today have their R&D wing. So everybody has. So there are so many concept cars we see, right? In every auto show, every company will have their concept car. So almost all OEMs, what they do is they have these innovative challenges that are thrown out to people, as well as internal organization, where they design different concept cars. A lot of work is happening in autonomous vehicle. If you think of autonomous cars, Tesla, and all these cars, you know how it can help both the again universal design here, where people with disability can just get into the car. They don't have to drive. They just tell destination, and the car will take them there. So innovation is happening in all sectors. All OEMs, all car manufacturers are doing it. If you have an innovative idea, there are a lot of applications. Like they have a lot of challenges that they pose to people. So you can register to these challenges and you can be part of it. And if you have a really unique idea, which can be part of many OEMs, then we can go to one of the premier institutes like IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, the IITs, where they're very open. You can go register there, and you can send your idea. You can tell that you have something like this. You want to develop this further, and they'll definitely help.
If I may add a little bit, so when you're talking about automobiles and developing, right? So there are different parts of it, and different people use, even if you're talking about cars, different people use the cars differently. In the sense that some people maybe, their office may be 20 kilometers away, and they're using the car for a daily commute back and forth. So they would be very interested, like Nana said, in something which, for the most part, the car can just drive itself, because otherwise you're tired on the way home and you're stuck in traffic. So that's one part. There are other people who you want to use cars to take it out on the weekend, enjoy on a, like a little vacation. So they have different requirements from the car. Or they may be like your grandparents, like Nana was saying, who then need the car to take them, they want to go to the temple or they want to go see the doctor. They need, or they want to go visit their friends. So they need the car for something else. So it depends on what you want to do with it. Right? Sorry, Tanvi, please.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that's all questions for them. Ma'am, a few people were raising hands, so they could.
I think ideally, if they can type it out, that would be better. But instead of raising your hands, because I know, in this session, it would be kind of, if you can type out what your question is, that might make more sense. No, we're going with hand raises.
Mom, I didn't get any message right now.
Okay, somebody's written something. In our society, we have seen, will you read it out, Tanvi?
Mom, which question?
From Arna, I
Yes,
think.
mom, yes. In our society, we have seen how much
Marginalization.
and exclusion there is. People with disabilities don't work at the same places that conventionally abled people do, and she guessed that this is partly because there's no so much stigma surrounding disability. Can we as individuals help somehow with the stigma and encourage the part participants of people with disability in our society?
Yeah, this is exactly what we spoke at the very last, where, what is worrisome? This stigma itself is what we have to all overcome. I'll give you a small story of a person for whom we developed a wheelchair ramp. So he wanted to get into the car with his own wheelchair. So we developed wheelchair ramp for him at a very reasonable price and the way he wanted it. So you won't believe all his schooling. He was supposed to be carried to the schools, and he had to. He's a very sharp, intelligent person. His mother is so excited. She's so excited that her son bought a car for the first time, and she was like, when she came to our factory here, she was telling me, "Ma'am, now you develop a car which my son can drive." So those were the kind of things that the mother, it's so good to see a mother like this who wants her son to go out and explore the world even with his disability. And she was telling me how difficult it was to get him educated. She carried the school starts at 8 o'clock, and they all the days, all the till there he was completed his 12th grade. They had to carry him and leave him at school at 7 o'clock, so that the other children don't see them coming into the school and see all this. So that is how the society has been in the past. So now we should educate children even at school that it's okay that a person is like this, and it's okay to have them around. And we have to be more inclusive, help them. Of course, the children automatically learn themselves that to make space and help them. But the thought process of our adults, of our educators, has also to evolve. And I totally agree that that stigma has to go in some way.
Okay, mom. Mom, another question. Can we make a process-based solution for mobility? And if yes, then they asked if you can give an example.
Process-based solution? I didn't get. I didn't understand.
Process-based solution for mobility.
Who's the question by? Maybe we can ask them to elaborate.
Mihir.
Mihir, can you explain what you mean by process-based? Panisa, can you unmute?
Yeah,
Can we
Nana,
unmute?
please unmute. Can you say the name of him again, ma'am?
Mihir.
I could not see him.
Mihir, can you raise your hand so we can see you? Raise your hand in the, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I was asking about process-based solution because now there are two types of solution that we learn: process-based and product-based. Now you told the turning seats, big doors, those are product-based. So process based means we can give some pamphlets, make people help others. Any solution like that? If there is a solution, can you please give me an example?
So process-based solutions are mostly, making all our websites accessible, accessibility in all solutions that we use. Um,
Maybe
this is
something like so I think Nana's right in the sense of I don't see. So, if somebody is in a wheelchair and they need to get into a building, there is no point in distributing pamphlets or, making people aware. That's not going to help because at the end of the day, finally, that wheelchair has to get into the building, right? So, these are places where you actually need a product, right?
mm,
A process-based thing might work in a place like, I don't know, if like Nana said, if somebody has a knee replacement or a hip replacement, and there is a specific way in which you can help them get into a car where it's easier, maybe you could do that. But the thing about things like that, where you're generally just asking everybody to help, and Nana, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that people will get it wrong very quickly. So it's much
mm,
better, like she said, keep it simple. It's much better to have a product which does it for you than to have a process that then you need to train people in, which is, am I right? That's harder to do, right? Overall. Nana?
yeah, yes. Processes, like I said, right? One example of process would be, um, if they mean this, if I'm understanding it right, is to have this enablement of accessible vehicle in your Uber app, your Ola app, your Meru app. So being able to book accessible vehicle, so that can be part of the process. So that is a very important aspect that we have to consider. And making all our websites, our solutions on laptop accessible, so that even with voice commands, people are able to book something. They're able to book their trains, they're able to book their flights. So those are all process oriented solutions that I can think of. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one last question, I guess. Considering the reputation of the iBot wheelchairs as one of the best in the market, how can we strategically position our product to not only compete with such innovations, but also offer practical solutions that cater to specific user needs? What unique features or improvements can be introduced to ensure of our wheelchairs stand out and addresses real world challenging faced by the users?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So yeah, there are a lot that can happen on wheelchair. So when it comes to disability, people are always thinking of crutches and wheelchairs have been there for such a long time, and we all everybody will think, what is there to innovate in a wheelchair? Wheelchair is there, and but then you saw suddenly there were these videos that were going viral where you can stand using a wheelchair. It's a standing wheelchair. So that was a innovation that happened on wheelchair. And then there was another wheelchair where you can the wheelchair converts into a bed and you can sleep on the wheelchair. And there was a wheelchair that came up where you could use it for the toilets and taking a bath. So the wheelchair started evolving. And considering there is these people are with locomotor issues, and what if they want to be part of active sports? There are wheelchairs that are so strong and are used to play sports like basketball, cricket. So the wheelchairs evolved to that as well. So uh, if you put our head into it, and if you think of making something innovative, definitely depending on the problems a person is facing, you can redesign and re-visualize or rethink of a wheelchair. So to give you one example, I have spoken to so many people on wheelchair and who are active and who are part of the mainstream society. Like one was a para Olympian, and when I asked her about her wheelchair, her thing was, uh, when people see a person on a wheelchair, they don't want them to see the wheelchair. They want them to see the person. So imagine having the lower backrest. When the backrest is high, is when you are tending to see the wheelchair move. Having the lower backrest, supporting the lower back, and having all the accessories on the top side of the wheelchair low, so that we are only concentrating and seeing on the person in the face, that itself was an innovation. And that itself was liked by so many people. The material that were going to be used in the wheelchair, the lightweight, strong material, and having this material at a cost effective way are all again areas to innovate in this sector.
సార్ మనోడు ఉన్నాడు సార్, ముగ్గురు ఉన్నారు టాప్ 15 లో.
Okay. Any other questions?
I
Tanvi?
guess that's all. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. There are a few more questions, no? Or do you want to take one last question?
Ma'am,
Okay, so there's one here that I see, and I think I will extrapolate and assume it's about transportation and mobility. So is there anything for blind and deaf people with regard to, I guess, public transportation or
From the perspective of blind and deaf, what there are these solutions, but again they are not in the mainstream. We don't see them as often. Um, for example, these buttons that are there, that can be there on the buses. There was a company that developed this where when they press this button, the bus can stop. And then there are these lights that can be there on the buses, where one is the signage. Now we all have the signages on the buses which tells which is the next stop, and people with who can't hear can see the signages and they can get off the bus. And also the blinking lights. Sometimes you don't, when there is a sound, that is when there's a horn that is done or there's a danger, so you have lights and that light can blink. So such solutions are there, but the ultimate solution for most sector would be an autonomous car. So that would be the most innovative solution. Yeah.
But perhaps also something where, now since most people have mobiles, where maybe not so much for people who have visual difficulties, but at least for the people who are a little deaf. So they could maybe scan the code of the bus and then put in which stop they want to get off at. And then the thing could give them vibration alarms or something as they're getting closer to the stop. Something like that. It's up to you folks to find some good ideas. Okay, so Tanvi, shall we stop with
yes.
all right. Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Nana Pataki, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today. And I also want to thank Tanvi for doing such a wonderful job as a co-anchor. And of course, a big thank you to the audience for attending this session on the use of technologies for accessibility and transportation. We've so far successfully completed 4 days of the 7-day winter camp, and we have many more wonderful learning opportunities in the remaining 3 days of the webinar. But yeah, before I conclude, thanks again, Nana. It was very nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tilotama. Thank you for the entire team. It was great talking to the young innovators and the young children. And I urge you all to, innovate for this sector. Observe when people with disability are moving around or senior citizens are moving around. I'm sure that you will come up with one innovative solution to change their lives. All the very best, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And everyone, our next session is at 4 p.m. tomorrow, and that will be on teamwork to build and win. That is another very important aspect of any design project. So please make sure you click on the Zoom and YouTube joining links, which is on our website, changemakersofindia.in. And see you all tomorrow at 4. Thank you. Bye.